Okay, so this is the ultra small 1SQ from Heli-Max, and I got it for my birthday, which was like 2 days ago, no, 1 day ago, and we're going to see how we put it all into settings on the controller and get it to work. One thing is that they recommend putting in a helicopter setting, but it doesn't seem to work too good there. It's a lot more troublesome. So I'm going to be selecting an aero model like I already have it set to right now. Now let's give it a name. In this case it's the 1SQ, so I'm going to put that in there. Too bad I don't have a QWERTY keypad on here. Please don't want to. That'd be cheating. Okay. Alright. Now we got the name in there. And as you see, it shows up on the display. By the way, I'm using a DX6i with the AnyLink. Which I have the AnyLink under there. It's not plugged up yet. And so anyway, got the model selected, we got it named. Now it's time to put some settings in. Now the manual says that for Spektrum, which is what we have it, of course they have it on helicopter setting, which really doesn't work too good. Reversing all the channels 1 through 4. Endpoint is 100% except for the rudder, which it doesn't say it's rudder, but it's supposed to be the rudder. 120% on the rudder. And DR exposed thing here, the dual rate is either going to be 100 or 70. Now, I recommend doing 85 and above because 70 doesn't give you enough control. And of course you can't do it on the throttle, that's why it's not mentioned on channel 3. So, let's go ahead and put those settings in. So start with the reverse. Go into setup list, and go down to reverse. Where's that at? I almost went past it. It's really easy to go past it sometimes. There it is. And the first 4, just make them reverse. Oh, well, I need to change that one anyway. Alright, I kind of did them in a funny order, but I got them in there. So, next thing, let's do the travel adjust. Now, I don't think I ever did 120% on the rudder. So, it's probably not necessary unless you want to go really wild on the spinning. So we're not going to do anything to this travel adjust. So now if you're a beginner you might want 85 on the dual rates, but even at 100 it's pretty easy to fly. So it's a lot more stable than say the Blade what was it? MQX. And anyway, it should be set up on that part. Because we won't get anything right now. But just to make sure, let's go under monitor. And we'll take a look at what we have here. So the throttle should be reversed, which is normal for this helicopter. Or quadcopter, rather say. So go up, it's actually down, down, actually up. And of course, that one's on the right channel. So is that one. And what about the rudder? Looks like the rudder's all good. One thing I noticed is if you have it on helicopter setting, the throttle ends up on channel 5, which won't work with this quadcopter. So that's why we're going for airplane mode, because we don't have to do any special mixing or anything to put on the right one. So now it's time to link it to the quadcopter here. And to do that we have to first turn the power off, because AnyLink does not need power on the transmitter to be on. because it'll turn on when we plug in this cable right here to that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in now, actually, because I do it in the right order here. Make sure it's all the way plugged in. That's one mistake I had earlier, was I didn't have it all the way plugged in. So now we have this cable here. But now let's see, we plugged this in before we turn on the quadcopter, so we're going to put that in. We get 2 beeps. If you don't get 2 beeps, then you need to change the mapping. It was already been covered in another video. So you can go back to that one later if you have troubles with that. And now, one thing to mention though, before we get too far into it, there's this tech note off of their site, off the quadcopter site. And it's the linking technical notice, so it's very important for us. In order to use the AnyLink, we have to follow these steps. Turn on the transmitter, which in this case, we have to turn on the other transmitter, the AnyLink. And place the transmitter close to model. That's normal, but where it gets different is right here on step 3. Remove the canopy and locate the small black button on the PC board, and that's link button, that is. And then press it for 3 seconds, release it, wait 3 to 5 more, and all that. So that button is small. Is really an understatement for finding that button, because it is more like tiny. It's like right there. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, there's a small black button right there. Okay, so we have this little battery here. It's a LiPo battery and 1 cell. That's why it's called the 1SQ, obviously. So before we get started on plugging it in, you got to make sure it's charged. And it happens to come with this cutesy little charger. And it just plugs, and I would recommend plugging the battery in first and then into the USB port, because the other way around might cause some really weird things to happen. So also, I would recommend not plugging it into your computer, but rather plugging it into an AC converter thing that would actually convert it down to a USB port, so that you don't risk burning up your USB ports on your computer. Or you can do it on a USB hub. Hold on a sec. All good now. I already charged my battery, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. And then we plug it in. And this thing does have gyros, so we're going to have to sit on the table here. I'll just get this controller out of the way for a sec. And we should see that we have a blinking light over there. Now, we press and hold this black button like they said for 3 seconds. And it should be ready here. Now it is. Did you see now? I had this for, oh, there it goes. Finally. Okay. So, as you can see, if I move the throttle, it starts to spin up. That means it's working. So now, let's put the cover on and we'll start flying it here in a little bit. By the way, the cover was backwards from the factory. There it is. I'm not exactly a beginner, but I'm not exactly an expert either. So, anyway, here we go. Well, that was actually pretty good for what I am. Let's do it again, if I can.
Touchdown.
So the 1SQ has a pretty stable flight, and it was pretty easy to set up on the Spektrum DX6i radio. But if you have any questions, just leave a comment below the video in the comment section. We'll catch you later.